afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to discuss with you about list basic. Basically the fundamentals of list. So in other programming language, that is array. So in Python, it is called list. Okay, so why list? A list is a collection of data of any size. So you can store data of any size in a list. So why list? So here we have a scenario. Suppose, for instance, that you need to read 100 numbers, compute their average, and then find out how many of the numbers are above the average. Your program first reads the numbers and compute their average, then compare each number with the average to determine whether it is above the average. So that is the algo. So in order to accomplish this task, if you are not going to use list, you are going to create 100 variables. So say for example, A, B, C, D, E, F, G until 100. And it seems that you are going to repeat the same code again and again just to get the average of the numbers, and then just to get the comparison of each number to the average. So we have here the solution, which is a list. So it is an efficient, organized approach needed. Python provides a type called a list that stores sequential, so meaning it is by sequence, collection of elements. So we will try that one later on. But first is, how do you create a list? So first, um, if you can see my screen, there are two ways on how we can create a list. So okay, so of course you are going to create your variable. What would be the name of your list? So say for example, this is the name of your list, my list. Okay, and then usually we have here brackets. So if you're going to um, have an empty list, it would be like this. So and then if you're going to um, print your list, so it would be my list. Okay, so notice that it is printed but it's empty. So you can have another name since this is a variable. So for example, you have my list 2. And then inside the list, this time you don't want it to be empty, so you want to have integers inside it. Okay, so you are going to print the my list too. Okay, you can also have strings and other data types in the list. Okay, the other one on how you're going to declare or create a list would be you're going to use list function. So this one, notice that it is green in color, so it means it is a keyword. And then you have here open parentheses, and then you have the bracket. So if you're going to create an empty list using the list function, and you're going to print it, you have not print it. So this is the list too. So again, there are two ways on how you are going to declare a list. So this one, this is the common, and the other one is this one. So just add variable inside the bracket. Okay, so how do you print a list? Of course, simply use the print function and then the name of the list that you have declared. Okay, so that's how you are going to declare a list. So for other data types such as a string, you can have double quote. Okay, so common operations in list. So these are the following operations in a list. The x is just a variable and your s is the name of your list. So say for example, this is your x and your list is, the name of your list is s. So just simply print x in s. So that one. So it will return true if your variable, the value of your variable x is you can find it inside the list. All right. So we have also X not in S. So say for example, X not in X. So you just simply not in. So false because you can find 2 in the list. So you can also use if. So if X is in S, so you have print true. Also the same idea. Okay. So you can also use the if. Right, so next would be the um, int element in sequence S. So we will tackle that one later on in our index operator. So we'll have len muna. And for example, this is your list. Okay. And then just simply print len of your list. Okay. So the length of your list. So simply count how many items or data in your list. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the length is 5. Next is mean. So it means that what is the smallest element in your list. So for example, just simply print mean and then s. So just put inside the mean function the name of your list. So s. So the mean value would be the 2. So if you are not going to print your mean, it will not also print. Okay. But in Jupyter, it is showing. Okay, even if you did not add print. Okay, next would be the max function. Okay, so again, we are going to use this list and then simply print max and then put it inside the list. Okay, so that is 10. The max, the value inside the list is 10. And of course, we also have the sum. Okay, so simply it will add all the elements in the list. So we are going to simply change it with sum, and the sum is 30. Okay. Later on, we will tackle about the for loop. Okay. All right. So let's now proceed with index operator. So an element in the list can be accessed through the index operator using the following syntax. So this is the syntax: the name of your list and the index. So the number. So integer inside the so this index is an integer. So list indices are zero base. That is the range from 0 to the length of your list minus 1. So remember that inside the range function, we have the minus 1. The stop is always minus 1. Okay, so just like in other programming language idea, okay, the index starts with 0. Okay, say for example, if this is your index 0, that is 5.6. So this is your index 0, index 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so on and so forth. And of course, index can also have negative values, and that is starting with the rightmost. Okay, so let's go back to my example here. So if you are going to print um, s, so what is the syntax for um, the index? So you have the name of your list. So example, my list, the name of your list, and then you have the 0. Okay, so your index 0 is 2. If you're going to have 1, so your index 0 is 1. You're going to have 2, your index 2 is, the value is 6. So how about if you're going to have negative 1? So your the value of inside index negative 1 is 10. So if your index is negative, it starts with the rightmost. So this is negative 1. And there's no such negative 0. Okay, so if we're going to have negative 3, so negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, that is 6. Okay, so that's index operator. Now let's proceed with traversing elements in a loop. So when we say traverse, what does it mean? So when we say I traverse Mount Fuji via Kalatungan mountain, it means that you have traveled it. Okay, so the elements in a Python list are iterable, so meaning sa Bisaya papabalik-balik, no? Which enables you to traverse the elements sequentially without using an index variable. Okay, so you can actually use for loop in traversing an element in a list. So how do you do that? So say I have here display a list using for loop. So I have here okay. Let's have another one. Okay, so how do you display a list using for loop? Okay, so say for example, let's go back here. This is your list, and you're going to you're going to visit the element, each element in your list using for loop. So you're going to use for loop. Okay, for I. So what is the syntax of for loop? So for I in a range. So remember that if a range has only one parameter, it means that it's stop. So the stop would be the length. You're going to use the length of your my list. So what does this mean? So it means that um, the length of your list is 1, 2. Okay, let's print it. The length of your list. So let's comment. The length of your list is 5. So it means that the stop of your range is 5. Okay. So 5 minus 1, so that is 4. Because that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you have my list, and then you have the index operator, I. Okay, so, okay, so let's comment this one. Okay, so you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It is automatically new line in Python. If you're going to have the syntax once it goes back um, to the for loop, it automatically creates new line. So how many? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's how you're going to traverse um, for list using for loop. So what does this mean? Why is it that it prints 2? It's because the my first is the value of your I first is 0. Okay. Um, all right. So 0. So my list 0 is 2. Okay. Then it goes back to here. It becomes 1. Okay. So my list 1 would be 4. Then it iterates. So it increments. So it adds 1. So it becomes 2. And then my list 2 is 0, 1, 2 is 6 until it reaches index 4. Okay, so we also have the methods in list. So first is when we say append, you are going to add an element in the list. So when we say append, it should be added at the end of the list. So say for example, you have, let's have another one. So say for example, you have my list that, so just simply use the append function. So for example, you're going to add 12 in your list, and then you're going to have print my list. So the output now has additional 12. Okay, then you have count returns the number of times element X appears in a list. So say for example, we are going to have 2 here. Okay, and then I'm going to print count, sorry, my list count 2. So it's going to count how many twos are there. So it's 2. So if I'm going to change this with 2, so it should be 3. So it counts how many 2 in the list. Okay, next would be extend. Append all elements in L to the list. So you're going to use extend. It means that you have two lists and you're going to combine the two lists into one. So say for example, this is your my list one, and then you have my list two. Okay, and you have 3, 9, 12, 18, and 21 example. Okay, and when we say extend, you are going to extend. So you will have another list, and you will have my list one, extend my list two. Okay, and then you are going to print my list three. Okay. Oh, what is it? It's none. Extend L list. What is the example? I already forgot this one. All right, extend would be list 2, list 1. L1. What is it that it's none? Is the example we have L1 that extend list 2. Okay, we have here, let's try. Okay, all right, so this is how you're going to use extend. So you have my list 1 dot extend, and then you are going to so you're not going to create another list that you're going to store the union of two lists. So you're just going to have my list one that extend, and then the list that you're going to add, and then you're going to print the first list. Okay, then you have index. So you have index x returns the index of the first occurrence of element x in the list. So as mentioned, it will going to return the what would be the index of this element. So it's actually the opposite of index operator. So again, it will return what index is this value of the list. So you're going to print my list one dot index. What would be index? What is the index of 2? So the index of 2 is 0. So what is the index of 8? 3. Remember that we have three twos. Three twos in the list, and he returned the first. What he said, the first occurrence of the element x. So, what is the index of the first two in the list? So it is 0. So it's not 0, 1, 2. It's not 4, but the first occurrence of 2 is index 0. Next is we have insert. Okay, so you have insert element x at a given index. Note that the first element in the list has index 0. Okay, so what's the difference between append and insert? So append always adds at the end of the list, and insert is you are going to specify which index you would want to add. Okay, so let's have an example because I forgot it already. So you have So you have two parameters for insert. One would be the position, and next would be the element that you're going to add. Okay. So say for example, sorry about the kids outside. Alright, so say for example, you are going to use my list 1, then you are going to use the method insert, and I'm going to insert it in index 1, and I'm going to insert 12. Okay, do not print it. Okay, and then you're going to have my list 1. Alright, so where did you insert 12? In index 1. Okay, so again, where did you insert 12? It's in index 1. So there are two parameters in insert method. First one is the index, and second one is the element. Alright, so next would be the pop. So pop removes the element at the given position and returns it. The parameter is optional. Okay, so if not specified, list pop removes and returns the last element in the list. So removes the element at the given position and returns it. So when you use pop without parameter, it means that you're going to pop the last element in the list. So for example, um, you're going to have my list 1 dot pop. Okay, and then you're going to print again the list. So what would be the output? So remember that you have already popped the last element too. So if you're going to do it again, and then you're going to print the list again. Remember, okay, the 8 is removed. Okay, so if you are going to add parameter in the pop, okay, for example, pop 1, so you're going to print again the list. Alright, so you have specified which index should be removed, and that is index 1, and that is value element 4. Okay, and then when you say remove the first occurrence of element x from the list. So, okay, what's the difference between remove and pop? So when we say remove, you are really specifying the value of the element. So say for example, my list that remove, you want to remove number 8 in the element in the list. Okay, and then you're going to print again the my list. So the value of 8, the inside the remove method would be the value 8, and the pop is the index. Okay, and remember, if the pop has no parameters, automatically it's going to remove the last element in the list. Okay, so if you're going to remove 2, so again, it is going to remove the first occurrence of the element x from the list. So it's going to remove the first 2 in the list. Okay, remember, you have now 4, 2, 8, 2. Okay, so we have now reverse. Okay, reverse would be, it's going to display the list in reverse form. Okay, so you have reverse. Just do the reverse function, and you're going to use my list 1. Okay, so now it has 2, 8, 2, 4, 2. So the list now has been reversed. Now lastly, we have the sort. So it's going to sort the element in ascending order. So how do you, so it's going to sort the element in ascending order. So my list 1 dot sort, and then you're going to print again the list. So you have my list 1. Okay, so it's now been sorted into ascending order. All right. So for the rest of the examples, you can now try it on your own. And if you have questions, just let me know. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed our list discussion. So before I leave, I want to leave you with a challenge, no? A list laboratory challenge. Okay, and there are only two. The first is assign grades. Write a program that reads a list of scores and then assign grades based on the following scheme. So I have their sample output program. All right. And then the second one would be the analyze scores. Write a program that reads an unspecified number of scores and determine how many scores are above or equal to the average and how many scores are below the average. Assume the input are separated by one space in one line. It's all right that you're not going to follow the last line. Assume the input are separated by one space in one line. It's all right that you're going to have it new line. Yeah, as long as it's working, and it's all right if you can have it new line. The output is in new line. It's not separated by one space. When we say unspecified number of scores, it means that you let the user input how many scores he is going to input in the program. So enter number of scores that you want to input. Okay, so good luck and see you.